this message to the G20 in Osaka, where we will try to persuade our partners to cooperate rather than threaten one another. The leaders discussed the further strengthening of the economic and monetary union. We took note of the broad agreement on the euro area budgetary instrument. The Eurogroup in an inclusive format will continue its work on this instrument, which will eventually be integrated into the long-term EU budget. The leaders also expect work on the ESM treaty to be finalized by the end of 2019. At the end of our meeting, the EU27 briefly came back to the issue of Brexit. We have agreed on the following united approach of the EU27. We look forward to working together with the next UK Prime Minister. We want to avoid a disorderly Brexit and establish a future relationship that is as close as possible with the UK. We are open for talks when it comes to the declaration on the future UK-EU relations if the position of the United Kingdom were to evolve. But the withdrawal agreement is not open for renegotiation. And we have been informed on the state of play of planning for a no-deal scenario. Last but not least, I would like to thank President Iohannis and his entire team for an energetic and successful presidency. You managed to have 90 pieces of legislation agreed in the last 100 days before the European elections, including on border protection, reducing CO2 emissions and building a digital Europe. That is impressive. You made good progress on the MFF package. And of course you hosted last month's EU summit in beautiful Sibiu, a Europe Day that we will always remember. Mulțumesc, Klaus. Mulțumesc, Romania.
Mulțumesc. Thank you. And now President Juncker of the European Commission.
Ja, vielen Dank, meine Herren Präsidenten. Ich möchte zuerst auch zum Ausdruck bringen, wie dankbar das die Kommission ist für die von der rumänischen Präsidentschaft geleistete Arbeit. Arbeit des Staatspräsidenten, Arbeit der Regierung, Arbeit auch der rumänischen Botschafterin, der ständigen Vertreterin in Brüssel. Hat mich sehr beeindruckt, wie sie das gemacht hat. Und dies war ja die erste rumänische Präsidentschaft. Ich habe 5 oder 6 hinter mir und deine war genauso gut wie die meinigen. Das ist für eine erste Präsidentschaft ein bemerkenswertes Ergebnis. Ich bin sehr dankbar für die Art und Weise, wie Rumänien mit der Kommission zusammengearbeitet hat. Puis nous avons consacré l'essentiel de nos travaux de ce matin à l'Union économique et monétaire et à son approfondissement. Je suis heureux qu'après un début difficile lorsque j'ai pris mes fonctions, nous avons réussi à stabiliser la zone monétaire puisque les fondamentaux, the fundamentals, sont devenus meilleurs qu'ils ne l'étaient au début de notre mandat et je suis content du fait qu'un nombre croissant d'Européens se soient réconciliés avec leur monnaie unique. Nous avons pu approuver aujourd'hui les décisions que le Conseil ECOFIN et que l'Eurogroupe avait pris récemment. Cela concerne notamment l'instrument budgétaire de convergence et de compétitivité. Cela concerne aussi les termes de la révision du traité établissant le mécanisme européen de stabilité. Sur ce point, je voudrais tout de même que nous ne perdions pas de vue qu'il y a une nécessité d'intégrer le traité sur le mécanisme européen de stabilité dans le droit de l'Union européenne. Beaucoup reste à faire, notamment la mise en place d'un système européen de garantie des dépôts. La présidence finlandaise, qui a du talent, va y travailler. And then we were addressing the issues concerning Brexit with nothing new. nothing new because we repeated unanimously that there will be no negotiation of the withdrawal agreement.
Thank you. And now President Iohannis of the Romanian presidency.
Thank you. Dear Presidents, it is a pleasure for me to be here on behalf of the Romanian presidency of the Council of the European Union, together with President Tusk and President Juncker. Yesterday and today we have discussed many crucial issues regarding the future of the European Union. I will mention some of them while also referring to the work of the Romanian presidency of the Council of the European Union in the last 6 months. And let me start with thanks for your appreciations, Donald and Jean-Claude. For us it is very important as it was the first presidency. First, the strategic agenda that we have adopted reflects entirely the 10 commitments we agreed upon at the Sibiu summit, the spirit of Sibiu, as I call it. The key aim now is to remain united, determined and effective in our efforts to implement this agenda and achieve results for all. Romania is strongly committed in this respect. I particularly welcome that the main priorities and lines of action identified in the strategic agenda reflect our common vision for the future of the Union. This is a clear sign of unity and cohesion. Protecting our citizens' freedoms and values should be central in our future common actions, as we have seen an increasing number of challenges that emerge both within as well as beyond our borders. Recently, the Council formally adopted a number of significant legislative files concluded under the Romanian presidency in relation to the banking union, the improvement of labour and social rights, the deepening of the single market, the decarbonisation of transport, and the further enhancing of digital Europe. This is Europe at its best, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all member states and the European institutions for their support and for their constructive approach that allowed the Romanian presidency to conclude a significant number of important legislative initiatives. Second, we have discussed the future multi-annual financial framework. The European Council last December asked the Romanian presidency of the Council to develop an orientation for the next stage of the negotiations. The presidency has worked intensively, and I am pleased that this hard work and progress are acknowledged in the conclusions of the European Council. Third, as regards the discussion on the climate change, I would like to express my regret that at this point a consensus for ensuring a transition to a climate-neutral European Union by 2050 was not reached. I would like to conclude by saying that I welcome the fact that upon my request, the leaders agreed to have a reference to the Republic of Moldova in the conclusions. In my opinion, the agreement of the leaders to strengthen the EU support for the Republic of Moldova by concrete measures is very important. Thank you.
Thank you, President. I now open the floor for questions. I believe the gentleman in the 5th row was the first. David.
David Herzenhorn with Politico. A question for President Tusk following up on your leadership discussions. We saw a surge in turnout in the EU elections, above 50% for the first time in decades. I wonder if you could explain to those voters who are excited to come to the polls this closed-door process, talking in a dinner after midnight with the cell phone signals jammed, your own closest advisors excluded, or a conference room next week in Osaka. Does this match what you think voters are looking for, or might the transparency, the policy of transparency you adopted in Brexit be better served than having us guess who you're talking about in these rooms?
The process is, I think, pretty transparent. Sometimes I feel that maybe too transparent to be productive. Formally, I'm the organizer of this process. Sometimes what I feel is that the public knows more about the possible candidates and names than me. It means that the transparency is on a really high standard and level. I will consult the new constellation of the European leaders also with the European Parliament. I will start my talks with, for example, with the Parliament group's leaders already today. And I think this is the best method to have this parallel process among the leaders in the Council and at the same time with the European Parliament and party leaders. I am maybe it's your feeling that I am too discreet, but the problem is that I have nothing to add to what I said yesterday, and not because I have some secrets here, but I have nothing new to communicate today.
You are right to say that last time it was more transparent.
No, it's in your case, yes.
Yeah.
I was surprised, for the public, and it means that every process is a little bit different than the others.
Thank you. And we now turn here to the first row, the gentleman in the middle.
Robert Lupițu, Calea Europeană, Romanian media. A common question for all three presidents. What is the legacy and the footprint that the Romanian presidency leaves behind in a time when Europe transitions itself from a political landscape to another? Thank you.
Claude?
You want me in English or in Romanian? Okay, thank you very much. Well, as I represent here the Romanian presidency, I think that you noticed the ideas I presented in my expose a couple of minutes ago. I don't know if it is good to speak about a legacy. You cannot create a legacy in 6 months. That's an illusion. But you can do a decent work in 6 months. And so let me conclude in a way which probably is a bit unexpected for some. Few people had high expectations when we started our presidency. Most people expected us to be, well, in between somewhere. Well, surprise. I took the laudatio from Donald and Jean-Claude very serious, and the fact that the Romanian presidency concluded 90-plus legislative files, you know how much have been concluded in other presidency, is an indication not only of the intensity and the quantity of the work, but also the quality, because we have partners, negotiators, and institutions with high standards. And so our team, the Romanian team, managed something unexpected. And this is why I said that the Romanian presidency was surprising, because it performed way better than expected. So if we may define this as a legacy, that Romania is actually way better than its image, then this is a good legacy.
just maybe. I think that everything is clear when it comes to this excellent work and very effective way of working presented by the Romanian presidency. But for me, it's also really important my impression from Sibiu. I met thousands of true Europeans on the streets in Sibiu. I was really, really moved. I have visited also this huge and amazing paintings collection in Sibiu. It was and my feeling was that we could touch the essence of Europe in Sibiu because of this positive pro-European emotions, because of culture, because of hospitality. I think sometimes it's more important than our procedures and legislation. For me, and it's not a slogan here, I will always remember this European Day in Sibiu. It was for me personally one of the most impressive moments in my political life.
I had, in fact, high expectations, and I was not disappointed. It was better than I expected, although I had high expectations.
Thank you. And we now turn to our right. Nicolas. Yes, please.
Oui, bonjour, Nicolas Gros-Véret de Sud-Ouest B2. J'avais une question pour vous trois, mais particulièrement pour le président Donald Tusk. Je m'étonne et je me demande si vous avez discuté hier ou aujourd'hui de la situation entre les États-Unis et l'Iran, la situation dans le Golfe. On est face à une menace de conflit armé vitale et je ne comprends pas qu'on n'ait aucune discussion des dirigeants européens sur ce sujet. Donc je voudrais savoir ce que vous avez discuté, ce que vous avez prévu et pourquoi les Européens, encore une fois, se préoccupent plus de leur nombril que de la situation dans le monde.
Oui, enfin, je pourrais adresser la même remarque à la presse bruxelloise. On s'occupe plus du nombril que des grands problèmes dans le monde. Madame Mogherini, au nom de l'Union européenne, et les ministres des Affaires étrangères, au nom de l'Union européenne, ont fait savoir quelle était notre position. Elle n'a pas changé.
I think that sometimes it's better not to intervene. It's the biggest problems in our history was always provoked by too active politics, not too passive. I think that, and of course, we follow the situation closely and are very concerned about the developments in the Gulf region. But there was no pragmatically no reason to prepare, specific European statement on this. I think our position here is quite responsible.
Thank you. And the last question goes to the gentleman in the third row, Paddy.
Thank you. Paddy Smith, Irish Times. Specifically to Mr. Tusk, the perception, according to the Irish Prime Minister, of the mood of leaders is that they are much less tolerant than they were of the idea of any extension of Brexit beyond October. Do you have anything in the message that you're sending to the British about October and whether or not it's as flexible as British candidates in the British election seem to suggest all the time?
Frankly speaking, we have nothing new to add to our formal position here and opinion. As you know, we are waiting for the new British Prime Minister. And we have to be very precise and also patient. It's waiting for the decisions or maybe new proposals. But our position remains as I informed just 5 minutes ago. It's, maybe the process of Brexit will be even more exciting than before because of some personal decisions in London, but nothing has changed when it comes to our position.
Thank you very much. This concludes the press conference.
Thank you so much for the appreciation.